It's wild card weekend. Early bets, early leans, early things to consider. No point of guess the spread over on my TikTok. You can't do it in the playoffs. These lines come out too quickly. You got to look at them. You got to hit them. You got to monitor them. And I've already made a couple mistakes in betting some early numbers that actually went against me. However, lucky for you, we get to sort out some of those mistakes. I can tell you where I went wrong and what we can do from here. So let's just work down the board here. I'll tell you the first three bets I made that might have been, or four bets, might have been a little mistakey. I took the LA Chargers on the money line. I still like that. All right. Next one. I took Denver plus 8.5 juiced minus 118. Got a little too excited there because I do like Denver, but the line is there's now nines here for Denver. All right. How about Green Bay and Philly? This idiot already bet Green Bay plus 3.5. That line now, 5.5. I also bet the Washington Commanders plus 3. That is settled at about 3. There's juice actually either way if you look across the market, but let's get into it. First thing, I'm going to like the LA Chargers on the money line here. You can get, looking at minus 148, minus 154. I would take it to minus 160. And for me, although I make this game Chargers minus 2.5 juiced to the 2.5, like 2.5 minus 115. I like the Chargers here because frankly, I think they're a better ball club. And I really want to bet Harbaugh in the playoffs. This is a guy who, if just for reference here, as I ruffle these papers, Jim Harbaugh on the road in the regular season and postseason, 29-13-2 ATS. That's 69%. Nice. This is a team I want to back. Also, we can continue there. But that to me, I think the Chargers are a better team here. I don't really want to mess around with the points. I would take the money line. It looks like this thing is going to settle, I would say, about at 3. So, you can get that. You can get that number. I would take it, like I said, to minus 160 on the money line. Let's move to Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Well, this thing, right, settling in right now at Baltimore minus 9.5. And if we just go back for reference, these two teams played in Baltimore not too long ago. That spread Baltimore minus 7.5. Look, Steelers are in a bad way right now. They're on a 4-game losing streak. They've lost 5 of 7. These teams also played in Pittsburgh back on November the 7th. If you remember, Baltimore closed about 3 in that game, minus 3. Pittsburgh got the win. Baltimore, you could say, I guess, got a tough result, outplayed them for a lot of the game. But the thing here for me is I make this line about Baltimore minus 8.5. But then also you got the Zay Flowers situation in Pittsburgh, a team I have adjusted to be lower on. It's basically, can you stomach it? It looks like here we don't have a team in the playoffs in this, what I'm looking at here, that has entered the postseason on a 4-game losing streak. But let's just do a 2 or 3-game losing streak entering the postseason. That team is 14-10 ATS. If you do just the 3-game losing streak, 3-1 ATS. So it would be a buy low on the Steelers. I'm staying away from it. Again, the Zay Flowers thing is tough for me. And, although I like Tomlin as a dog, it just hasn't paid off. It's going to take some guts to go back to the Steelers here. I'll give you Mike Tomlin as a dog in the playoffs, 2-4-1 ATS. So that Tomlin dog thing is better during the regular season. How about in the wild card weekend? Dogs wild card weekend, 48-41-3 ATS. The best round for dogs is the divisional round. Dogs in the playoffs since 2003 ATS, 130-105-4. That is 55.3%. So in the trend of underdogs here, I am going to like the Broncos +9, plus wherever that number settles in. It looks like you don't have to grab it now. Maybe you want to grab a bite of the 9 while it's still there. I don't see it getting to 10, but I like the Broncos here. And one of the reasons, you look at Sean Payton during the regular season and the postseason on the road, he is 79-61-3 ATS, just 3-3 on the road ATS during the postseason. But those two numbers, regular season and post, that is 56.4 ATS. So I want to back Tomlin here. Or excuse me. I want to back Peyton here. And then on the contrary, McDermott, regular season or postseason, as a home favorite, he is 30, 24, and 3 ATS. Postseason as a home favorite, 3 and 4 ATS. So that's not only about the trends. I make this game Buffalo minus about 7. So I think you're getting value on Denver here, and Denver's a team that continued all season. We're like, oh, how could they be doing this? Bo Nix, they're not that good. They might not be that good, but that's why we have a point spread. And I think that the market and a lot of bettors have continued to underestimate Denver. I think they keep this thing closer than 9, what's on the board right now. So I bet the 8.5, Denver plus 8.5. I'll be betting again at plus 9. So that's the AFC. Like I said, I like the Chargers. I'm going to stay away from Pitt, Baltimore. I'd lean Pitt if you could stomach it, because I think the Zay Flowers injury is a bigger deal than we think. And then, like I said, Denver, I'm going to be taking the points with Denver. Let's move on to Green Bay and Philadelphia. At first glance here, I told you I bet the Packers. Packers are a team that I've been high on all year, higher than a lot of people. And this is all going to be about Jordan Love. Looks to me, as I saw on Twitter here, that they're getting some good news on Love. He should be able to go, but how healthy really is he? Whereas you get also a Philly team that, hey, the last, like Jalen Hurts, he hasn't played since that concussion. We assume he's good to go. Barkley got to rest. So there's a Philly team that got to rest and a Green Bay team that got, the worst of it. They try to win again. They put a full effort into the Bears game. They get their quarterback hurt. They get Watson hurt, one of their best receivers, and they also lose the game. And now Philly's rested. So I made this game if both teams were healthy. I made this Philadelphia minus 3.5, but I'm still probably going to take a chance on Green Bay here because this thing is going towards Philly and it's too far from me going towards Philly. I imagine there will be some buyback. I don't think it gets to 6. I really don't. So if you like Green Bay, I would grab the 5.5 that I see pretty much across the board right now. I'll be rebetting it at 5.5. Like I said, I don't think it gets to 6. It's too many points for me, and a Green Bay team that we could be overrating the Love thing about, his health in general, because I do still like Green Bay's defense. And I do like Green Bay. I like how Green Bay profiles as a playoff team, especially going on the road outdoors. I think I said this when Green Bay went and played at Seattle earlier this year. Green Bay, to me, we know that division's the toughest in football. They're an outdoor team. They can run the ball well. They play, I think, good enough defense. So I think they profile as well as a road dog could. So I'm going to like Green Bay at plus 5.5. Look, the old saying is if you're betting the NFL, you shouldn't like these many sides, right? But to me, it's wild card weekend. Sue me. I like to have fun. I like to see if I can find a play on every single game. If you want to go for, hey, I just have one mega lock 10 unit play, go somewhere else. I'm betting the games. So Green Bay, like I said, I'll take that 5.5. I took Washington plus 3. That's about where this thing is sitting. This is tough because I've been someone who's been, I feel like I was higher on Tampa Bay than a lot of people. And I felt good about what they were doing. I love their offense, but their defense gives me some concern here. And they played week 1, right? Now, this was a line that was Tampa Bay minus 3.5. Now it's 3. I think it's less about the difference between these two teams and why the spread is pretty similar than they both exceeded a lot of expectations. They both ascended in power rankings throughout the year. So I made this game Tampa Bay minus 2.5. So getting the 3 to me, it's a small play. If you want something on it, Washington, it's not, I don't absolutely love it, but I think 3 to me is just, that's about where I'd go. 3.5, I'd like way better, but I don't think it gets there. We'll finish it off with Minnesota at the LA Rams. I make this game Minnesota minus 2. It's funny, the Rams have been a home dog to some good teams this year. I look back to Buffalo, right? That game on December the 8th, Buffalo was minus 3.5 at the Rams. We know the Rams won that game. Philadelphia was minus 2.5 at the Rams. Philadelphia won that game and covered. And then you had Minnesota was actually there in October. This is before we knew how good Minnesota was, and maybe before we knew how good the Rams would really be. Minnesota was minus 2.5 at the Rams, 3 depending on where you got the number. And the Rams won 30-20. So this line to me right now, it's sitting at 1.5. That's correct. I'm probably not betting it. Look, it's a Minnesota team that had a great season, and bang, they could lose 2 in a row and be done. So, look, when you look at Minnesota, though, you have to say to yourself, yes, it was a poor result in the Detroit game, but they ran, I don't know, it was almost like a dozen plays in the red zone or a dozen plays from the 10-yard line or something. They came away with 3 points. And we know that red zone success um, can be like free throws, right? It goes back to the mean. At times, it's all about the right time. Will it come back to the mean for one game against the Rams? I guess that's more for up to you to decide. Darnold had been one of the better red zone quarterbacks in the NFL going into that game. So that to me is the key metric in that is going to be red zone success. So if you're going to dive into that game, I would start with that. So that's what I have. To recap, I'm on the Chargers on the money line, staying away from Pittsburgh, Baltimore. I like Denver plus the points. I like Green Bay plus the points, Washington plus the points, and I'm staying away from Minnesota and the LA Rams. Enjoy wild card weekend. We don't put more money on a game because that game is just bigger or there's fewer games. Keep that in mind. Wild card weekend. These games matter. Finally, enjoy.